Football is a game of moments, a single goal, a tactical masterstroke, a moment of belief that turns despair into euphoria. But what if one man could define an era? A manager who inspired loyalty, passion, and belief wherever he went. A man who took broken teams and rebuilt them into relentless forces. Jurgen Klopp didn't inherit success, much like other managers. He built it. From Mainz to Dortmund to Liverpool, his journey was never easy, but always extraordinary, turning struggles into triumphs and clubs into dynasties. The fist-pumping, heart-on-his-sleeve leader who brought sleeping giants back to life. This is the story of Jurgen Klopp, the man who gave Liverpool Football Club its soul back. And it all started with a dream. Jurgen Klopp was more than just a football manager. He was a tactical genius, a man who turned good players into world-class talents through his coaching and exceptional man management. With belief, passion, and unshakable connections with those he led, Jurgen always left his mark, not just on teams, but on entire cities. But before he became one of the most iconic managers of the 21st century, Klopp was just a young man chasing a dream. He first started as a player earning his stripes in the youth ranks of SV Glatten and TUS Ergensingen, but football wasn't always his first calling. As a child, Klopp once dreamed of becoming a doctor, but acknowledged that he didn't feel he had the intellectual prowess for the profession. Instead, football chose him. After all, the football gene was embedded in him coming from a family of football. However, although his father Norbert had the talent to turn professional, he was discouraged from pursuing football by Klopp's grandfather. But that unfulfilled ambition was passed down, and Klopp's determination only grew stronger. He kept playing football up until he reached adulthood, featuring for various clubs including FC Pforzheim, Eintracht Frankfurt's reserves, Viktoria Sindelingen, and Rot-Weiss Frankfurt. But it was during this time that his life took on a new meaning, and in 1998, he became a father. Klopp now had a family to provide for. His son Mark was born, and suddenly, football wasn't just a passion, it was a necessity. The German's big break came with Bundesliga second division side Mainz 05, where he would spend the rest of his playing career. During his career with Mainz, Klopp was initially a striker by trade, but was eventually pushed back, not just into midfield, but into defense, where he was just 25 years of age. A tall, intelligent, and physical player, his natural attributes were well suited to playing as a center back. Klopp he would be remembered for. His story, his real story, was just beginning. Now, what made Jurgen Klopp an elite name within football wasn't his playing career, but his managerial one. His journey as a football manager began most dramatically, just 3 days after he hung up his boots. It was a bold appointment. Many fans were surprised to see Klopp replace Eckhard Krautsson, Mainz's manager then, following a poor run of form that saw them struggling in the relegation zone. But in true Klopp fashion, he proved the doubters wrong almost instantly, winning 6 of his first 7 games before steering the club to safety. With his infectious energy and relentless belief, he inspired a team on the brink of collapse. Mainz survived, and a new era had begun. What followed was a story of transformation. Under Klopp's stewardship, Mainz went from relegation battlers to Bundesliga hopefuls, finishing 4th for 2 consecutive seasons and just short of promotion. But if there's one thing we've learned about Klopp, it's that failure never breaks him. It fuels him. This mentality was birthed at Mainz, and finally, in 2003-04, he delivered the impossible, taking the club to the promised land. Mainz 05 secured promotion to the German top flight for the first time in their history. With only 3 years of experience as a manager, he'd made history with the same club he represented for most of his playing career and etched his name into Mainz folklore. Despite all he went on to achieve, Klopp later described this as my greatest success as a coach. Off the pitch, his life was also changing. Shortly after Mainz's promotion, Jurgen married Ulla Sandrock, a woman who would become a pillar of support throughout his career, and since, she's been a strong and key part of his journey. Mainz defied expectations, retaining their Bundesliga status for 2 consecutive seasons, but suffered relegation in their 3rd. slipping back down into the Bundesliga 2. The magic had run out. Relegation was a bitter pill to swallow, and after an unsuccessful attempt to bring the team back up, Klopp stepped down as manager. He knew it was time for a new challenge. Taking Mainz to the Bundesliga was as much as he could have hoped for. Now, one of the giants of German football was calling. Borussia Dortmund awaited. When Jurgen Klopp arrived at Borussia Dortmund in 2008, the club was in turmoil. Once a European powerhouse, they had fallen into mediocrity, finishing 13th the season before his arrival. The famous yellow wall still roared, but it had been years since Dortmund had truly given them something to believe in. Again, it wasn't easy, but Klopp changed everything. He didn't just rebuild Dortmund, he redefined them. The first 2 seasons were about laying the foundations. Then came the breakthrough. In 2010-2011, after 2 seasons without silverware, Dortmund were crowned Bundesliga champions and they were electrifying. Klopp's fearless, high-intensity side tore through Germany's elite with a star-studded team including the likes of Robert Lewandowski and Ilkay Gundogan. A year later, they did it again, back-to-back league titles, and this time, they completed the domestic double, lifting the DFB Pokal with a stunning 5-2 victory over Bayern Munich. Dortmund were back at the top. But let's fast forward a decade or so. Do you remember Dortmund's Champions League final defeat to Real Madrid in 2024 at Wembley? Well, rewind 11 years and you may also remember that Dortmund played in another final in the English capital, this time against their fiercest rivals. In 2012-2013, Klopp worked wonders again, rallying the troops and leading Dortmund to their first European Cup final since their victory against Juventus in 1997. It was an all-German affair, Dortmund versus Bayern. On the grandest stage, Klopp's men fought with everything they had, taking on their old foes Bayern Munich and putting on a valiant display. But then, heartbreak. A last-minute winner from Arjen Robben shattered their dreams and secured the Champions League for the opposition. Dortmund were left heartbroken. Yet, as always, Klopp refused to let disappointment define his team. Jurgen rejuvenated his team, putting the finals defeat behind them, and the following season, Dortmund finished runners-up in both the Bundesliga and the DFB Pokal, but once again fell short against Bayern. The following year, in 2015, they reached the cup final again, but again fell short this time to Wolfsburg. However, by then, Klopp had made a decision and announced he would step down from his position as manager. His journey with Dortmund was coming to an end. 7 years, 2 league titles, a domestic double, and a Champions League final, Jurgen Klopp had been a revelation during his tenure, taking Borussia Dortmund from a struggling side to one of Europe's most feared teams. It was the right time to resign, but it would only take a few months before Klopp would land the job that truly defined him. Liverpool came calling. When Jurgen Klopp arrived at Liverpool in October 2015, the club was searching for direction. Brendan Rodgers had been dismissed, and the club needed a new hope. Now, although Liverpool remained a giant club within the footballing world, their glory days felt like a distant memory. Aside from the agonizing second-place Premier League finish in 2013-14, which was largely due to the brilliance of Luis Suarez, the club had very little to shout about since the miracle Champions League triumph of Istanbul in 2005. The club had flirted with success, but never truly returned to the summit. Little did Anfield know that one man would change this: Jurgen Klopp. Klopp didn't just bring a new playing style, he brought a new mentality. He inherited a squad low on confidence and transformed them into believers. Helping teams punch above their weight was always something Klopp could do, and in his first season, he provided a glimpse of what was to come. Against all odds, and to everyone's surprise, he guided the Reds to the 2016 Europa League final. However, it wasn't just about reaching the final that had fans excited, but the way their team competed. Along the way, Klopp orchestrated one of Anfield's greatest European nights, an electrifying 4-3 comeback win over his former club, Borussia Dortmund, at Anfield. It was vintage Klopp: passion, intensity, resilience. In the final, however, Sevilla proved too strong, and despite Liverpool taking the lead, the Spanish outfit came out winners. A 3-1 defeat was heartbreaking at the time, but Liverpool had tasted something they hadn't felt in years: hope. Later in Klopp's first full season, Liverpool would go on to finish 4th, securing Champions League football again. A huge improvement on their 8th place finish the season before, which was largely due to Rodgers' frailties rather than Klopp's early stewardship. The German was now loved on the red side of Merseyside and had returned Liverpool to where they truthfully belonged. But things were about to get even more exciting because that summer, a future legend was signed. Mohamed Salah. The talented Egyptian joined in the summer of 2017 from Roma for £36.9 million in a move that raised a few eyebrows, but a few months later, nobody was questioning it. Salah, along with Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino, formed a devastating front three, filling fans with joy as they torched teams throughout the Premier League. By January, Klopp had decided to strengthen further, breaking the world record for a defender and acquiring the services of Virgil van Dijk from Southampton for a staggering £75 million. Liverpool were now a force. They tore through the Champions League, lighting teams up in the European Cup, dismantling domestic rivals Manchester City before cruising Roma in the semi-final to reach the 2018 final. But heartbreak struck again with a horror show. 2 blunders from Loris Karius in the Liverpool net, along with a game-ending tackle inflicted by Sergio Ramos on Salah, ultimately led to a 3-1 defeat in the final. A ruthless showing from Los Blancos, another crushing defeat, yet still, Klopp was unfazed. His message was clear: next season, we go again. Although Liverpool were dejected, what they had achieved since Klopp had taken over under 3 years ago was remarkable, and Klopp didn't let their heads drop. He knew the team could achieve greatness, and in 2019, they did. Liverpool strengthened further, acquiring the services of another world-class player from Roma, Alisson Becker. The world-class Brazilian signed for a then world record fee for a goalkeeper and turned out to be worth every penny of the £67 million. This was the signing that would stabilize the team at the back of the pitch. Could Liverpool finally push on and win their first trophy of the Jurgen Klopp era after missing out on 2 European trophies? The answer was a resounding yes. With the tremendous attacking trio of Mohamed Salah, Roberto Firmino, and Sadio Mane, along with the tenacious midfield of Jordan Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum, and Fabinho, Liverpool were now a complete team. The 2018-19 season came at Liverpool thick and fast, but they grew from strength to strength, defeating formidable opposition along the way. However, upon reaching the Champions League semi-finals once again, they stumbled for a moment. Facing a Barcelona with Messi at the peak of his powers, Barca trounced around Klopp's side to a convincing 3-0 victory at the Nou Camp in the first leg. But as we saw in 2005, Liverpool were capable of spectacular Champions League comebacks, and when the moment of truth arrived, Klopp's men delivered. Anfield was electric on that fateful European night, and the second leg of the 2019 semi-final will forever go down as one of, if not the best comeback in Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool era. Liverpool stunned Barcelona, overturning a 3-0 deficit with a 4-0 masterclass at Anfield. Races from Gini Wijnaldum and Divock Origi gave them the win, and they went through on aggregate to set up an All-England final with Tottenham Hotspur. However, this time, it meant more. Liverpool wouldn't make the same mistakes again. Mohamed Salah had heartbreakingly come off injured in the previous season's final, but struck from the penalty spot within 2 minutes at the Metropolitano to give Liverpool the lead over Mauricio Pochettino's side. Origi then sealed the game late on. The match was not a classic, but it didn't matter one bit. Liverpool and Klopp had done it. The Reds were champions of Europe for the 6th time. But there was one prize still missing, and that was the Premier League. Liverpool had won 2 European Cups in the 21st century, along with the UEFA Cup in 2001, but their elusive first Premier League title continued to evade them. And once again, it wouldn't be their season. In 2019, Liverpool finished second with a staggering 98 points, losing just once all season, yet still falling short to Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. It was truly agonizing for all fans who had dreamt of a perfect season. Yet we all knew Klopp was no stranger to falling short and coming back stronger. Now cast your mind back to the 2003-04 season with Mainz. Klopp desperately wanted to secure a first ever Bundesliga promotion for the club, and it took him a while to do so. But he did. 15 years later, he had Liverpool playing out of their skin, eager to secure their first ever Premier League title, and just missed out on league glory. But keep watching because you may know where this is going. The 2019-20 Liverpool League campaign was truly magnificent. They stormed through the league, going unbeaten from August to February, beating the likes of Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Tottenham Hotspur, before a surprising defeat to Watford. During their winning run, Liverpool also cemented themselves as the best team on the planet, winning the Club World Cup in Qatar. And let's not forget the 2019 UEFA Super Cup, as they defeated their rivals Chelsea on penalties. The reality was, this run was different. Liverpool were easing their way to Premier League glory, and when COVID-19 halted the season, Liverpool were 22 points clear. The inevitable was delayed, but it wouldn't be denied. After 30 years, Liverpool were champions of England again. It was disappointing that the fans couldn't be there, but the trophy parade in Anfield was a special one for Klopp and his players, as well as the fans who watched on from their living rooms with pride. As Jordan Henderson lifted the Premier League trophy aloft, fans cheered from the streets. The Kings had been crowned. Klopp had completed the mission. He had returned Liverpool to their perch. The following season was underwhelming and saw a dip as Liverpool slipped down to third and, for the first time since the 2017-18 season, missed out on silverware. But Klopp wasn't finished. Klopp had already won the Premier League and Champions League, which are widely considered the two biggest competitions for English teams. In 2021-22, Liverpool won a domestic double, edging Chelsea twice on penalties to claim both the FA Cup and League Cup. They went on to fight for an unprecedented quadruple, but fell just short, losing the league to Manchester City on the final day and the Champions League final to Real Madrid. But the legacy was already sealed. He had now completed the set, winning every major trophy with Liverpool. However, all great things must come to an end, and after 8 marvelous years commanding the Liverpool dugout, Klopp announced that he would step down from his post at the end of the 2023-24 season, rocking the football world to its core. Liverpool fans were devastated, but could only thank Klopp for all he had done. His final campaign wasn't his greatest, but he made sure to sign off with silverware. His final act? A League Cup triumph at Chelsea in the final, with Klopp turning to his youth due to an injury-ravaged squad. A fitting end for a legend, the perfect farewell. As Klopp stood in front of the Anfield crown one last time, his final message was filled with emotion. I am one of you now. Jurgen Klopp didn't just build a football team, he built a movement. He gave Liverpool its pride back, its belief back, its soul back. From doubters to believers, from lost men to champions, he rewrote the club's modern history with passion, charisma, and an unrelenting hunger for success. Conquering England, Europe, and the world, Klopp's legacy isn't just measured in silverware. It's in the memories he created, the emotions he evoked, and the bonds he forged between the clubs and its people. He most definitely earned his place among the greats. As he stepped away from the touchline at Anfield for the final time, his impact remains in Arne Slot's squad. The banners will still fly, the songs will still be sung, because Jurgen Klopp didn't just win for Liverpool, he became Liverpool. But is there more to Klopp's story? Will he eventually return to club management? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more football insights. Thanks for watching, and click on the next video to find out why Liverpool's goalkeeping problem is becoming a nightmare.